This is really, I think, a culmination of a lot of work, but a really, really, really big day for the township because it truly marks what I believe is one of those few times in a town's history where there's a generational shift in the way in which the town moves forward. Before I get started, I do want to point out the council members that are here today because nobody does anything by themselves. The township works in conjunction, the mayor's office, the administration works in conjunction with our township council and everybody in the township to make things happen. So nothing happens by itself. So I'd like to point out, and he'll have an opportunity to speak, Council President Jim Wendell. Council Vice President Kevin McAvoy in the back. We have Councilwoman Sharon Sullivan right up front. I do believe I saw Councilwoman Dana Zimbicki somewhere. There she is. And we do have some that just couldn't make it here today. We are very blessed in East Brunswick, and our history attests to it. The town was founded in 1860, and we have always been an example of how townships need to adapt to the changes that are occurring around it. In its inception for the years between, say, 1860 when we were founded to 1940, the world went through an industrial revolution. We changed from an agrarian farm-based type of economy to one that's centered around the industrial revolution. And so you'll see throughout the town areas where there was industrial complexes that came to East Brunswick. We needed to adapt. In the 1950s and 60s, as people were moving out of the cities and large commercial properties were building, and commercial business was what seemed to be where everything was directed. As suburbs became popping out of the ground as people left the cities and that urban flight type of mode, we adapted. And many of the farms and a lot of the properties that folks that live in this community live on gave way to large communities, large different, whether it's apartment complexes or townhouse complexes or just large neighborhoods of homes. This became a community. And what attracted people here are the things that still attract people here today. We have top-rated school systems that will always be an attraction. It is something we should never turn our back on. It is a core strength. We have our blessing of our location being located directly in the center of New Jersey. We have a diverse community, and we have a community that's educated when you require educated workforces for the industries of the future. We have that right here in East Brunswick, and we always have. But we're going through another shift, and that is out of that commercial type of community. If you look around at a lot of the commercial spaces, they've been vacant for the last 20 years. We have to adapt, and part of that is just the cold realization that we are moving to a different type of economy, and all those millennials and Gen Zs that move to the city are getting married and having kids, and they're raising their families, and guess what they're doing? They're coming back to the suburbs that everybody left a generation ago. And so we need to be able to ride that curve and to take advantage of an opportunity that doesn't come that many times in a lifetime. And that's exactly what we have done. We've worked through a process that is going to convert that corridor, the Route 18 corridor, to now what is going to be primarily an entertainment and service-based type of corridor, moving away from the retail. As you look at the retail establishments on the, my right and your left, that have been empty for decades. Our kids graduated just recently high school, and not one of them remembers any one of the areas that you see being, or will see being knocked down, ever occupied by retail. Not one. It's been vacant for 20 years. So we need to move forward. That vision doesn't start with one person. It may start in one area, but in order to accomplish anything, we need to do it as a group and as a community. So who do I have to thank for that? Well, first and foremost, I have to thank the residents of the Township of East Brunswick who see and have voted for these type of changes and support it. So I think that our biggest hand has to go to the people that live here. But it didn't happen without convincing them. You had to work at town halls. We did surveys. We did Facebook Lives. We did information sessions. We were out at one of the East Brunswick days and interacted with the community to make sure that whatever we were going to develop and bring to the residents was something that they could buy into and they believe in and have a say in their future. We also depended upon a redevelopment advisory committee, which is a group of residents that worked in conjunction with the redevelopment agency and the local government in order to make sure that we were able to give to them what our plans were so they could bring that out to the community. And in return, we can have them bring back to us what the community was thinking about the type of changes we were looking to initiate. That was critical. You can't do anything unless you have your fingers in the community. They have to buy into it as much as we do. We have the Redevelopment Agency, which was our attempt to make sure that government wasn't dictating what ended up as the future of East Brunswick, but it was a combination, again, of the residents and the township. These are opportunities that are written in land use law to provide the ability for towns to figure out what their future is without it being just dependent upon one party that might be in office. Developers, as you'll see today, are in it for the long haul. They don't want to come in and deal with somebody who may be in office for 4 years and then pull out from under them plans that cost multi-millions of dollars. So we needed to be able to establish an agency that was bigger than just who's in office as a council member or the mayor at any one time. It would last beyond that. That was the purpose for that. And I need to thank our council members because, again, I can't do this alone. We do this as a team, and it needs to be something that we all buy into, not just one person. And I believe that this project that we're talking about is, at least what you're going to see today, is the marquee type of change that you're going to see to Route 18. As you come off of the turnpike, this is the first thing you're going to see. This phase one actually sits topographically a little bit higher than any other part of this whole project. It's going to stand out. It needs to be something that really starts a process that allows the rest of the highway to see that that's really what the new standard is. And while I sit and listen to or read people saying that we need the Wegmans and the Whole Foods and the high-end retail, we do. But they don't come there unless you provide the environment for them to want to be here. That's what this is about. That's how we get there. And so I'm going to turn the mic over to Jim Wendell. Jim Wendell, if most of you recall, ran against me for mayor in 2016. But he's a really great guy. Delivered one of his kids, actually. But we've always looked at that election as something that really should be modeled today, considering the political environment we live in, where we all always respected one another. We might have disagreed, but at the end of the day, we came together, and in the process, we became even closer friends and worked on this because the township demanded it. And I think what you're going to see is a product that is really second to none. We don't want to cut and paste the type of redevelopment and apartment projects that you may see being dotted all across New Jersey. This is quite unique, and this is really the vision that I think both of us have worked on, and I don't want him to not have the opportunity of taking credit that's well deserved. So, Jim, it's all yours now.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so much. Yes, we did run against one another 6 years ago, and I actually changed parties since then because he invited me in to be part of his group, and we realized that we both had the same vision for East Brunswick, and what better way to get things like this done than to work hand in hand. And so thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really excited about this, but before I start, I just want to recognize those that are in the room from the Redevelopment Agency. We have Cindy Furgang in the back, Myra Becker sitting right next to her, Rachel Cohen right here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Frank Colon, our original executive director. Frank's in the back. These are people who have have been involved with this process for quite some time and have worked tirelessly, reviewing, commenting, and helping us mold this project. I'd also like to thank our current executive director, Michael Hughes. Michael was actually my running mate 12 years ago when I came on council, and Mike sat on council for 8 years in East Brunswick. Now he's got a wife, kids, and lives in, Washington Township in Bergen County. He's got a life going on now. But I'm really excited. I mean, as the mayor stated, I've got a son who's 23 years old, my youngest, who he delivered. And he's never seen anything active going on these properties. We've worked for literally 6 years to get this process going. And I remember working with the agency, working with all the commissioners, and coming up with a vision with the people of town, the residents of town. And when we went out for our RFPs, Warren Waters was the one right here from River Development that brought in the most exciting plan, the most comprehensive plan, the plan that gave amenities back to the town within the plan. What you're seeing today is just phase one, but he had the vision, and we're so happy to have partnered with him so many years ago. Now he's brought in a partner, Russo Development, and Russo Development is just dynamic. They're building all over the state, and they build to hold. They're going to be partners with us for a long time, and we're so happy to have a build-to-hold developer that's going to be here in East Brunswick, because they're going to want it to be opening day every day. Every one of these projects is going to have to look like opening day every day. They're rentals. And as being in the development business myself, I understand that concept, and I'm so happy to have River Development and Russo Development here working with us, and actually, to see the demolition begin today is just a very, very exciting day for all of us. And as I've pledged over the years as a councilman and being the chair of this agency, it's our job not only to keep taxes stable, but to bring in new revenue. And this is what we're doing today. We're bringing in new revenue to the town. This is not that we're taking something away, we're adding something. And this is a big plus to the town, and I'm just so happy to have this get started today. And I'd like to thank everybody who I mentioned, who was involved, and those that I didn't mention, Mark Lieber and a couple others who were on the advisory committee. Thank you for all your time, effort, and desire to put this together. So thanks so much, and let's see the excitement begin. I'll turn it over to Michael Hughes right now, our executive director.
Sure, and as not an elected official up here, I'll do my best to be brief. But this is a transformative project for Route 18, and it is a milestone to be celebrated where we're at right now, to demolish these buildings that have been an eyesore in East Brunswick for as long as I can remember. It does go without saying, but you need to really recognize the speed at which we've been able to move. There was a court case that has been winding its way through the court system, through COVID, that really put things on pause, where the judge had to decide whether the township had acted within the strictures of the law when we had declared this area in need of redevelopment. The judge sided with East Brunswick overwhelmingly in our arguments, and that was in late February. So over the course of 6 months, property was acquired, the due diligence was conducted on all of these properties, there was abatement that had to be done, utility cutoffs to get to this point, there was hard engineering, elevations done, all in preparation to get to a point where those plans then went to the redevelopment agency, who got a chance to look at them, opine on changes they wanted to see, which there weren't many, because this is a plan that really adheres to the spirit and the goals of the redevelopment plan. And then finally, just 2.5 weeks ago, went to planning board and received unanimous approval. So 2 weeks from then, in a 6-month process, we're now at the point where demolition is occurring on the property. So there really is a commitment, not only from the township to work to eliminate red tape, but there's a clear effort on the part of the redeveloper as well to move quickly to get to this point. And as Councilman Wendell and Chairman Wendell said, this isn't just about the redevelopment area. This is about transforming Route 18. This loops in with this development is going to end up, when it is done, looping in with our bike and multi-use trails that can be used by all residents of East Brunswick. It's going to have amenities that will be used by everyone in the township, and is really going to provide that retail and entertainment outlet that I think a lot of people in East Brunswick have been asking for a large period of time. And to touch on something that Mayor Cohen said, turn on the news and even forget national stuff, but even at the county, state, and local level, there's a ton of rancor, and people are always butting heads and trying to prove another person wrong or poke holes in someone's vision or their plan. In East Brunswick, that has truly, really never been the way this government works. And really, at this project is a great example of that. I mean, you have Mayor Cohen, elected as a Democrat. You have myself, who served for 8 years on the Township Council as a Republican. And you've got Jim, who's been both at different points in times. And we all agree that this is the right thing for East Brunswick. We all agree this is a net benefit and a positive thing for the town. And we can't wait to see this project move forward through the process. So with that, I have said my piece, and I'd love to call up Warren Waters, who heads up the River and Russo Urban Renewal Corporation, who's going to be actually developing this piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Of course, the last guy has the least amount of time to say anything, so we're getting to the end. I think two of the most important things are that the municipality had a lot of trust in us. There were a lot of people who wanted to do this project, who were afraid, all types of people, much larger, much grander, well-financed, and in a lot of cases, much smarter. But no one had the courage to step forward with a lawsuit going on, with properties to be acquired. There was a lot out there to be done. I always felt that this municipality and the people that were running it and the redevelopment agency were uniquely committed to do it, so we took a risk. And not only were we named the redeveloper, but I was most fortunate, as of course after we were named the redeveloper and the lawsuit was over, people were coming out of the woods. But the one person that I always trusted and the one person I felt had the right demeanor and was one of the best partners that I could ask for was Ed Russo, and Russo Development and River Development became partners. And the municipality welcomed Russo Development in, and as was mentioned before, they're all over the state, and Ed takes every project to heart and gets it done. A bunch of people from his organization are here today. I've worked with him for the last 2 years, his company, and it's just quality top to bottom. I can't say enough about Ed being my partner and the municipality being lucky enough to have, I think, both Ed and myself from a standpoint of commitment and what we're going to produce. The elevations are available to look at, so we'll be happy to do that. Ed is available later this afternoon. His advance team is here, and he'll welcome any calls from anyone who wants to talk to him or ask him about the project. But more important, and I think it's a great note to end on, yes, this is going to be great. It is dynamic. The project's going to be beautiful. We talked about opening day being every day, and it's really the truth. This is not only going to look different, smell different, but it'll be different and cared for because it matters. We will own it for eternity. I can't have enough grandchildren, which I don't have yet, but someday maybe they will have the same commitment I do. I just look a lot older than I am. And I think ultimately what this will do is force other property owners, other developers along Route 18 to work on their properties, to redevelop them, and to do other things with it, because they're going to start to look really sore and old and tired when we're done doing this. And it's a couple of years. And by the way, this is the start of demolition. There's a lot more to go. We will have a formal groundbreaking. We will have all the bells and whistles that anyone would want. But it's very important that we've always been very smart about taking one step at a time. It was important to get the demolition started, and just stay tuned because we've got some great news to follow. Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
First, again, thank everybody for coming here today. Again, this is just the beginning. Groundbreaking is going to be not that far off because we're now kind of hitting the accelerator, and if anybody's ever driven with me, that's pretty darn fast. So that is the intention, and we are more than welcome after this is over to speak to anybody about the project. And I think that you should be excited. Russo, if you look on his website, builds some really top quality projects, and invariably, despite catcalls from people on social media, the projects actually do end up looking exactly like what you see in the picture. So very exciting day. Thank you all for coming.